Hello everyone, I'm Arnab and today I'll be sharing my submission for Codebasics resume challenge number 8, right? So let me start off by sharing the problem statement with you people. So essentially there's a bank called Mithron Bank and they are planning to launch a new line of credit cards, right? So now Mithron banks, they need some help for strategy, right? So what are the kinds of ways in which they can promote their credit cards and what ways can they help their existing customer base with these credit cards? That essentially is our problem statement. Now, what we plan to do here is we plan to help them with segmentation of customers, like what are the demographic classifications of these customers, and we plan to basically give the top three segments of these customers where we have the most potential. That is a primary objective, and secondly, we also want to give some analytics around the spending behavior of these customers. That is our objective here. Now, if we look at the navigation here, we have we've divided it into three parts. First is the demographic classification. So we want to analyze the distribution of customers as per various categories in the data. Secondly, the spending behavior analysis. So how are these categories of customers spending their income? And thirdly, the KPI and insights that we find by analyzing the previous two categories, the previous two pages essentially. Now let's get started with the first page, which is demographic classification and income utilization percent. Okay. So now let's spend some time here. What's going on? So first of all, we have the total number of customers here, which turns out to be 4,000. The total spend, it's the amount of money that these customers are spending in total. It's 530 million, 531 million approximately. The total income of these customers is 206.63 million, and the income utilization percentage. This is a KPI here. KPI as a key performance indicator. So what this is, what's this KPI, income utilization percentage? It's basically the ratio of the average income and the average spend, right? So on an average, how much is a person earning, and we're dividing that by how much is that person spending. Fine. So on an average, the income utilization percent is 38.92. So I hope that's clear. To simplify it, if a person is earning, suppose 38 rupees or 39 rupees, then he's spending 100 rupees. That's what it means. Hope that's clear. Now, moving on. What are these various charts showing us? First of all, total spend by status, like if a person is married or not, how much money they're spending accordingly. Total spend by age group, total spend by gender, total spend by city, and total spend by occupation. I hope this is clear. Like we're just taking the total spend here, like the second measure here, the second card, and we are basically showing it as per different categories. For example, if I click on single here, you will see that all the values have been filtered, right? So we have 864 single people who spend 101.87 million in total, and the total income of these people is 39.43 million. And on an average, the income utilization percent, which again is how much the person is spending, sorry, one second, how much the person is basically earning divided by how much they are spending, that is 38.7%. For married people, our KPI turns out to be 38.97%. Fine. Sorry, 38.92% for married people. These are the initial KPIs. Now, moving on to the second graph, it's like total spend by age group. So if you look here, we have 21 to 24 is an age group, 25 to 34 is another age group, 35 to 45 and 45 plus. You can see the oldest and the youngest. These two categories are have a darker shade of green. The reason for that is to indicate that they have a higher income utilization percentage, right? When I select 45 plus, you can see that 48.03 is the income utilization percent, and the higher the income utilization percent, the higher the odds of these people buying or utilizing our credit cards is. So we want this to be high. So one, this category is high, and the 21 to 24 have a 41.06% income utilization percent. So we can see that these two categories are basically good for our company, or they can be our target audience. This is the first indicator. Secondly, we can see that Chennai has a high income utilization percent and Hyderabad also has a high income utilization percent. So 45.97 is for Hyderabad and Chennai it has 53.59. Apart from this, let me just move my face from here to here so that you can see this graph. Yeah, now as per gender, again, as per gender, there's not much difference. Females have a 41.75 and men have a 37.55. Okay, there's like a 4% difference, which is not very significant, yet somewhat significant, if that adds up. Now, moving to total spend by occupation, we can see that business owners have a relatively high income utilization percent, and government employees also have 57.48. So again, business owners and government employees can be potentially our target audience, right? And the rest also you can see by clicking here that not very high. Even like other salaried employees have a relatively high, like 39.59, but the average is only 38.9, so it's not that high, right? Okay. Now, one more thing about this page is that you can also drill through. What I mean by that is, let's say I only want to see how people are spending in Hyderabad, like how's the behavior in terms of spending patterns here. So what I'll do is I'll do a right click here and I'll go for drill through spending behavior. The moment I do this, I can see how the people in Hyderabad are spending their money and or what's their spending behavior. So I think this is a helpful thing to tell you like, hey, most of the time they're paying their bills, followed by groceries, then electronics. So these are the top three ways in which they're utilizing their income. Fine. So this is one thing. And we have further analysis on this later, so I wouldn't dive deep into it. Just know that you can kind of drill down to find the spending behavior from the first page. Now I'll go back and let's just go back to the home page itself, right? So we have covered the first page, which is the demographic classification and income utilization percent. Let's check out the second page, which is spending behavior analysis. Okay, so the agenda here is to see the spending patterns. So we already covered a part of this in the first example, like when we were doing a drill through from demographic classification, we already somewhat covered it. Now let's go to the page itself. That kind of shows the whole thing. Here you can see that there are these filters. Now these filters were also there in the previous page, but we'll come back to that later. So you can select whether a person is married or single, and accordingly you can see how they're spending their money. For example, one change that we see here is when we are only talking about single people, you see that the priority changes, right? Electronics is the highest spend here, bills becomes the second, and entertainment is the third priority for single people. Okay. And most of it they're paying by their credit cards only. So you can click accordingly to see like how people are, paying in different categories. For example, in groceries, I believe UPI would be the highest, right? So that's what you can see how transactions are happening. And there's some degree of trend analysis also here happening, like how much money people spend over time. Although the data is only for a span of 6 months, so we can't look for seasonality here because it's a relatively small data set. But anyway, it's a good marker. Okay. Now, I think this page is pretty much clear. This will make a lot more sense when, I show you the KPIs and the insights and we come back here to confirm those. So the agenda of this page was to see a breakdown of how different people are spending their money, right? On what they're utilizing their income, in other words. Now let's go back to the home page and I'll go to the KPI and insights here. Okay. So now this is what I analyzed by looking at the data. Let me just remove my face from here. Okay. So now these are my insights, right? Uh, now a different person can have a completely different list of insights as per what they prioritize, but this is what I found important and I noted them down accordingly. So firstly, in general, females have a slightly higher chance of taking our credit cards due to higher income utilization scores. Okay, what I mean by that is you can see that both married and single females have slightly higher income utilization percentages than men. Now, moving on to the Second, like the other insights that I have, the youngest people who are 21 to 24-year old and 45 plus year olds have a higher income utilization scores in general. You can see 45 plus and the yeah this one and the 21 to 24. It's basically arranged in a descending order, so that's why you see these are the top two here. Both are above 40. Now, thirdly, customers in Chennai and Hyderabad have a higher utilization income scores, right? So Chennai has the highest 53.59, Hyderabad 45.97. So if you want to target regionally, you would prefer to target Chennai and Hyderabad. Now, fourth insight is government employees and business owners have a higher income utilization score, 57.48 and 50.18. Okay, this is good enough. Now, how do we form segments out of it so that we can kind of have some kind of a target audience, right? Because for me, the use case is to have top three segments which are our target audience, and we want to observe their spending behaviors essentially. So moving to that. So conditions that I think on which I create my top three segments are, first of all, it should have a market share of more than 2%. So what I mean by that is 530.9 is the total spend, right? So 2% of that would be around a little more than 10 million, right? Like 1% of 5 million is of 500 million is how much is 1% of 500 million is 5 millions. So 2% is about 10 million. So that's the logic I used here. And secondly, it should have 50% or more income utilization score. These are the two criterias on which I'll be forming my segments. Right. So according to that, my top three are, the top three first is people belonging to Chennai who are either business owners or government employees or other salaried employees. So if I click here, you can see that these three people, government employees, business owner, and other salaried, these guys have the highest income utilization scores. So when I just select as per these, you can very clearly see that everything becomes green in the other categories as well. When I filter as per the Chennai, government employees, business owner, and salaried other employees. Now, this is basically called conditional formatting. What I did is whenever the average income utilization score crosses 50% threshold, it basically becomes green so that we know that, hey, it has crossed the threshold and it meets our criteria. So this is the first category. I'll get rid of the filters. And our second category was B, government employees from all places except Mumbai. So government employees from all places except Mumbai. So I'll select everything from here except Bombay. So you can see again, everything is green in the other tables as well. This means that our criterias are met. Total spend is above 2 million. So hey, thumbs up here. Finally, the last and the third one is business owners from all places except Bombay and Delhi. So here, ta-dam, 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 ta-dam. Okay. Again, you can see the result is here. Total spend more than 2 million. It's 40 million. So this works for us. We can say that, hey, these three segments can be a good target audience. Now, what we want to do is we can go back to the spending behavior and analyze as per these three segments. Like, what is their spending behavior like? So let's do that, right? Just remember the categories. The first category was people from Chennai who are business owners, government employees, or other salaried. Now I'll go back to spending behavior. So I'll select city as Chennai, and the people are either business owners or their government employees or salaried other employees. Fine. So yeah, you can see that the spend is it's showing 5.89. One second, huh? So I'll get rid of this filter. Like we don't want to look for just singles, right? We want for everyone. That was a synced filter from the earlier page. Anyway, so we can see the spending patterns here. Bills, groceries, and electronics are the top three. But one thing that you should have noticed in the first page was that the data is somewhat skewed, right? What I mean by that is there are many more married people than single people, and there are many more male people than female people. So if we want to analyze the trend of these two differently, we will have a different analysis. So what I mean by that is if I'm just talking about married people, the trend will remain same. Bills, groceries, electronics will be the top three. In case of single people, this will change. It's electronics, bills, and groceries, right? First is this thing. So, in terms of insights, you can say that bills and groceries are always in the top three, and even electronics. Although the sequence has changed here, but more or less people value these three the most. That's our first insight or spending pattern insight. Secondly, when I just go for singles or let's say female, you will see that females in general value health and wellness much more than other things. So in the top three, we have health and wellness, bills and travel in case of females, like just females. So this is another insight, like health and wellness and travel become priorities for women. Whereas in case of men, it was electronics, groceries, and bills. Now, if we talk about single females, it changes to health and wellness, apparel, and travel. Although these are smaller market shares, 0.2 million, 0.2 million, 1.5 million. So this is what it is. Now, even if you look at the other categories, for example, our second category was people from, not people from anywhere. First of all, it was just occupation. We wanted government employees and government employees from everywhere except Bombay. Sorry, except from Mumbai. Yeah. So here again, so it's that females in Bombay who are government employees who are female, and their health and wellness is the top priority. Bills is the second. Travel is the third. Same as before. We change this to all bills, groceries, and electronics. Well, to be honest here, this trend remains pretty much the same for all this thing, right? Even for the third group that we had, which was people from Hyderabad and who are mm people from Hyderabad who are business owners or government employees. So the trend was the same, more or less, right? So you can what in terms of conclusion, what I would like to say is the priority changes as per gender and even a little bit as per your marital status. As per age group, what happens is that the market shares drop a lot, right? So if 21 you have this thing is 0.61 only million. So that's about it. And these are more higher market shares for the same thing. So bills and groceries and electronics. The point here is that more or less the trend remains same. And the trend, by what I mean by the trend is that bills, groceries, electronics are the top three for men, and bills, and then health and wellness and apparel or entertainment are the top three for women, the category, the spending habits. So what the Mithron Bank can do is give incentives to purchase these things and other offers in their credit cards, and they already have their target audience ready. So the top three target our audience we established in the very beginning, that these three we want to target at the as a campaign, right? The Chennai guys who are business owners, government employees, or salaried other government employees from all places except Bombay, and business owners from all places except Bombay and Delhi. That is the crux of our analysis, and we also observed the different spending patterns of these people. So yeah, I guess that's about it, right? Do let me know if you have some feedback. I would love to, hear some feedback. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks a lot.